Hello, I'm Mukesh Kumar. In the previous video lecture regarding the critical analysis of the essay The American Scholar, we had discussed the introduction and the main theme of the essay and the thoughts of Emerson regarding the various influences that operate on the mind of the scholar or the various sources of education for the scholar. Today, we will analyze critically Emerson's thoughts related to the duties of the scholar, thoughts related to transcendentalism and individualism, and some other thoughts and his prose style. So now let's begin. The scholar's first and most important duty is to develop unflinching self-trust and a mind that will be a repository of wisdom for other people. This is a difficult task, Emerson says, because the scholar must endure poverty, hardship, tedium, solitude, and other privations while following the path of knowledge. Self-sacrifice is often called for, as demonstrated in Emerson's examples of two astronomers who spent many hours in tedious and solitary observation of space in order to make discoveries that benefited mankind. Many readers will wonder just how satisfying the reward really is when Emerson acknowledges that the scholar is to find consolation in exercising the highest functions of human nature. The true scholar is dedicated to preserving the wisdom of the past and is obligated to communicating the noblest thoughts and feelings to the public. This last duty means that the scholar who raises himself from private considerations and breathes and lives on public illustrious thoughts must always remain independent in thinking and judgment, regardless of popular opinion. Because the scholar discovers universal ideas, those held by the universal human mind, he can communicate with people of all classes and ages. He is the world's eye, he is the world's heart. Although he appears to lead a reclusive and benign life, the scholar must be brave because he deals in ideas, a dangerous currency. Self trust is the source of courage and can be traced to the transcendental conviction that the true thinker sees all thought as one. Universal truth is present in all people, although not all people are aware of it. Instead of thinking individually, we live vicariously through our heroes. We seek self-worth through others when we should search for it in ourselves. The noblest ambition is to improve human nature by fulfilling our individual natures. Emerson concludes the essay by observing that different ages in Western civilization, which he terms the classic, the romantic, and the reflective or the philosophical periods, have been characterized by different dominant ideas, and he acknowledges that he has neglected speaking about the importance of differences between ages while speaking perhaps too fervently about the transcendental unity of all human thought. Emerson applauds the views of English and German romantic poets like Wordsworth and Goethe, who finds inspiration and nobility in the lives and work of common people. Instead of regarding only royal and aristocratic subjects as appropriate for great and philosophical literature, the Romantic writers reveal the poetry and sublimity in the lives of lower class and working people. Their writing is full of life and vitality, and it exemplifies the transcendental doctrine of the unity of all people. Ironically, we should remember that at the beginning of the essay, Emerson advocated Americans throwing off the European mantle that cloaks their own culture. Here he distinguishes between a European tradition that celebrates the lives of common people and one that celebrates only the monarchical rule of nations. We have listened too long to the courtly muses of Europe, he says. Making special reference to the Swedish philosopher and mystic Emanuel Swedenborg, Emerson contends that although Swedenborg has not received his due recognition, he revealed the essential connection between the human mind and the natural world, the fundamental openness of humans and nature. Emerson finds much inspiration for his own thinking and writing in the doctrines of Swedenborg. In his long concluding paragraph, Emerson dwells on the romantic ideal of the individual. This fundamentally American concept, which he develops at much greater length in the essay Self-Reliance, is America's major contribution to the world of ideas. The scholar must be independent, courageous, and original in thinking and acting. The scholar must demonstrate that America is not the timid society it is assumed to be. We must refuse to be mere purveyors of the past wisdom. This confidence in the unsearched might of man belongs by all motives, by all prophecy, by all preparation to the American scholar, who will create a native, truly American culture. Now we discuss some of the important thoughts related to transcendentalism and individualism present in this essay, The American Scholar. In Emerson's doctrine, transcendentalism and individualism are closely related. We find his ideas related to transcendentalism and individualism in The American Scholar, the famous essay. Emerson stresses the oneness of the human soul and the soul of nature because both are derived from the same source, that is, the divine or oversoul or God, which is immanent through both nature and man. Transcendentalists taught man to rely on himself, on his own intuition, natural instincts, and impulses, and not on any authority outside himself or on tradition. Again, when Emerson talks about the value of freedom, self confidence, and self trust, we come across his central doctrine of self reliance. In the essay The American Scholar, Emerson speaks of the education of the scholar by nature, by books, and by action. They shape his individual being. In self trust, all the virtues are comprehended. Free should the scholar be free and brave. Emerson emphasizes the value of self confidence and self trust. Thus, he talks about self reliance. It is the essence of individualism, as Emerson's individualism is that every individual should be self reliant. In this way, we find that the ideas related to both transcendentalism and individualism are found in the essay The American Scholar. Now we talk about his prose style. Emerson's prose style is remarkable for its epigrammatic quality. His sentences are pithy and compact and remind us of the prose of Bacon. His style is characterized by concentration and condensation, and his sentences can be elaborated at length. Some of the sentences read like proverbs. Here are a few examples from the essay The American Scholar. Books are the best of things, well used, abused among the worst. Genius is always sufficiently the enemy of genius by over influence. A great soul will be strong to live as well as strong to think. Fear always springs from ignorance. Not he is great who can alter matter, but he who can alter the states of mind. The great man makes the great thing. The world is nothing, man is all. These are some of the examples of his epigrammatic prose style. Emerson's style is highly figurative. When inspired, similes and metaphors come out of his pen as sparks from a chimney fire. His use of vivid pictorial images is also to be noted. For example, in the essay The American Scholar, he writes, "It is one central fire which, flaming now out of the lips of Etna, lightens the gaps of Sicily, and now out of the throat of Vesuvius illuminates the towers and vineyards of Naples. It is one light which beams out of 1,000 stars. It is one soul which animates all men." Many more such examples may be cited at random. Another aspect of his style to be noted is the judicious use of long and short sentences. In this way, he is able to impart variety and avoid monotony. Emerson also makes use of references and allusions to earlier writers, mostly European. But such allusions do not create much difficulty, for most readers are already familiar with them. Pope, Johnson, Carlyle, Bacon, etc. are well-known writers. It is only rarely that he alludes to such little-known figures as Emanuel Swedenborg or Pestalozzi. As regards the prose style of this essay, The American Scholar, which is in the form of an address, it too has Emerson's usual defect, that is, the lack of causal logical connection between one sentence and another in the various paragraphs. Sentence follows sentence in quick succession, but sometimes the next sentence is not connected directly and logically with the preceding sentence. This creates some difficulty for the average reader, who often feels puzzled because of this lack of logical causation. So, today we have tried to analyze this, we have tried to analyze critically this essay, The American Scholar. We have discussed Emerson's thoughts related to the duties of the scholar and thoughts related to transcendentalism and individualism and some other thoughts and his prose style. Thanks for listening and watching the video.